In Spanish, we say hello as hola, and today is going to be a very exciting session. We are going to have Valenti Llagostera from the winery Doix from Priorat in Spain online with us for a session. I welcome all the sommeliers. Like every day, we'll wait for a couple of minutes for as many people to join in, and then we'll take the journey forward. Today, we are going to talk about winemaking process and the viticulture, what happens on the ground where wines are or the grapes are planted. Hello everyone. So again, I will repeat. Anyone who wants to ask questions, please see at the bottom of your screen the question mark button. Press on that, ask your question, and we can publish the question on the screen so everybody knows what we are talking about. I hope you are enjoying our session. This is a great time that we all can connect. Our last two sessions have been very interactive. Thank you to all the people who are watching. This gives us enormous support and motivation to do more and more videos. Well, whatever we could reach out to and whosoever we can bring in for live sessions, we are doing so bit of our. Hope you get benefited from it. In today's world, there are so many movies which come out about the subject wines. There are so many people who are doing podcasts and their winecast videos, IGTV videos. Lot of consumers are getting much interested in the subject wine, and also more than just tasting, people want to know about winemaking process. So we don't want the subject to be intimidating as it has always been. We want to make it fun. We want to make it easy and fun to learn and understand at the same time. Now, before I join Valenti in, I'll give a brief introduction about him. There is this boutique winery in this wine county, wine region in Spain called Priorat. I've always said in all my blogs that one of the most underrated region and one of my personal favorite region in the world is Priorat. I visited Priorat in 2016, wherein I met Valenti for the first time. And what an experience was that. Some memories which I'll remember forever. So today I'm very excited that Valenti is going to be joining us. He's quarantined at his home in Barcelona in Spain. We together spoke about that, how I'm doing these videos, and he was kind enough to agree on the proposal that he'll join in today. We will keep the subject. This endeavor is specially focused on all the sommeliers and budding sommeliers and people who will be joining industry in coming years. This is the time you can greatly benefit from all these sessions. So without further ado, let me send the request to Valenti and get him online.
Hello.
Hola, Valenti, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Nice to meet you, Atul.
Everything is good with me. As you see, I'm home quarantined, locked at my home, not been able to go to work.
Okay.
So trying to do the most with my time, doing these videos. I have a lot of people in industry, a lot of students who are doing hotel management, and then further they choose food and beverage as their career path. Wine is a great and a very important subject for people to understand, because this becomes a major part of their job. A lot of people want to take wine as a specific subject for their career. Being sommelier, becoming educator, becoming wine merchants. So, I was thinking, why not today we take a session wherein I get a winemaker to talk about what is this whole thing about winemaking, and what do you do in winery? What do you do with your grapes at your farm? What are the things that you keep in mind while ensuring that the final product of the wine bottle is great?
Okay.
Before we start all that, I would like you to tell people about your winery. My experience have been great when I visited there. One of my finest jewels that I've explored in my all the travels in all the years, I think Priorat is on top of my list. And I've tasted all your wines. It
Okay.
still sings that song that I remember always. So, over
Thank
to
you.
you. Let's talk about Masdosh and
Okay.
Priorat.
Thank you, Atul. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today and with all your colleagues attending this session. As you said, we are also confined here in Spain. Unfortunately, we are all just fighting this situation, but I'm sure that we are going to get rid of it, and time will come that you and your colleagues will be able to come back to the Priorat, where I hope to see you again as soon as possible. Okay.
Well, we hope for the good
Yes.
times to come.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Well, it's for me a nice pleasure to have the opportunity to share with you some insights about our area and our wine. As you said, Priorat is one of the it's one of the smallest wine regions in Spain, and I will try just to set up and explain the main characteristics, because it, in my opinion, as you said, is one of those very special places where many things have gone in one direction to have the possibility to really have the privilege for those that we are in that area to elaborate very important wines. Priorat, as a name means the land of the priory. Priorat, the land of the priory. This is because we have to go back to the end of the 11th century, when the Carthusian monks set up in our place, and they came from southern France, from the province, and they were the monks that brought us all the knowledge and the viticulture to our place. Then it's nice for us to say that we have been in this for the last almost 1,000 years. Priorat is a place just related with vineyards and wine. And one of the reasons is because our soil, our characteristics are, as I am going to explain, the only crop ready to be developed and ready to be give something that could really be elaborated is the grapes and the wine, nothing else. Then from the one side, very poor, very austere, very tough area, but on the other, because of these characteristics, this is why we have the capacity to make these very really special and distinctive wines. Then, since 1,000 years, the monks, again, as it was the case in France, as it was the case in Italy, were the ones that really choose the places where the vines were planted. I mean, and here is some sort of a magic, some sort of a spiritual thing about, because it has always been through the monks that the most important places have been chosen 1,000 years ago, and these vines were developed. No? And then, in this sense, we feel that we have to follow this. We have to take this tradition and just to enhance this to go on. In other places, they have done it better than we have. Let me put it this way. When you go to France, when you go to Burgundy, where it was the Cluny monastery, or where you go to Bordeaux, this has really developed very well. While in Spain, unfortunately, as you know, Spain, together with France and Italy, are the largest grape producers in the world. And from the temperature point of view, Spain would be the largest. We have the largest grapes extension planted in any country in the world. However, because of the temperature and because of big sun in our place, our yields are lower, but the quality of the grapes has higher sugar because of this. But unfortunately, for many reasons that we are not going to talk today, Spain has always been producing sort of a cheap, low quality wines. This has completely changed in the last 60 years, but traditionally we were not really well known for big wines because agriculture was always very much related with very traditional and very modest people. Not as it was the case in France, where you have, when you go to Bordeaux, you see big chateaus of 200 years ago with a big French family with 20 hectares in front of them. And you remember you came to Priorat, and Priorat are very small villages with spare vineyards around and no big business around it. Okay, but this is one of our fortress, I would say, no, because we are still the Klondike of the wine world, because still many things to be developed. Then, just to go with this, I mean, to show you, this is the ruins of this Carthusian monastery that is just 6 kilometers away from Poboleda. The monks arrived here 1,000 years ago, and people living in villages just began to work for the monks. Monks became the law, became the owners of the place. And for 600 years, they were ruling our place. They had to leave in 1836, in a moment that the government just took all the properties from the church. And at that point, big families coming from Barcelona bought the whole of the place and asked people to remain planting and taking care of the vineyard. It worked like this. And during the end of the 18th century, 150 years ago, Priorat became one of the most developed wine area, mainly because of one reason that your sommeliers around may know, because of phylloxera. What does this mean? As you know, phylloxera arrived through the UK to France in 1860s, okay? And it began to kill all the vines going from north to south in France. And in Spain, the phylloxera came through Malaga, through the south, killing all the vines from south to north. And during that period, there was almost no grapes in France, and they came to Spain looking for grapes. And Spain, the area that became the most important was Priorat, because we were surrounded by big mountains, just in the middle of Spain and France. And for 20 years, we became the winery, and 100 places of our place was completely planted. And it became very, very important place with 2,000 people in our village. But unfortunately, in 1893, phylloxera came into our place and it completely killed everything. And 85% of people had to emigrate from our area because there was nothing else to be done. I will explain, because of the soil, because of this schist soil. Then, to make it sure, at the very beginning of the 20th century, just with 20% of the people remaining in the area, among them my family, the Doix family, they replanted a very few small plots, and all the grapes were just being sent to the cooperativa, to the cooperatives, where bulk wine was done, because people did not have the means to elaborate and to bottle and to sell. No way. Just bulk wine, which was sold to the French guys in Bordeaux. I like to say that if you want a good Priorat of the 40s, you should buy Bordeaux of the 40s, because the bulk wine was blended with the Bordeaux wine just to increase the color and to increase the degree. Because as we will see, one of the key issues in the Priorat is that at that time wines could easily reach 16, 17, 18 degrees alcohol.
Wow.
Crazy. And this was bought just to be blended with lower wines to increase the color and to increase the alcohol. That was the way how Priorat survived all the 20th century, okay? And all the grapes were going to the cup. Then when I was a kid, I was going to Poboleda with my cousins, just harvesting this, putting into the cup and forget it. Then, as you may know, and your colleagues too, it's at the beginnings of the 90s that René Barbier, people coming outside from the Priorat, get into the place, rediscover the place, and in a rather quick time, Priorat is on the map at the beginnings of the 94, 95, with the big guy, Robert Parkin, just putting the wines on its place. Then sort of Priorat is just open to the world, but with almost no one being there. Well, you saw it in 2016. I mean, we do need people. There is no people there. Then, at that point, when I was going with my kids, mid-90s, for the harvest with my cousins, after 3 years of taking the grapes and going to the cup, I just asked my uncle, why not do we keep the grapes and we begin to elaborate? Because I saw that we had those incredible grapes of these very, very old vines. And he said, Valentin, it's up to you. I mean, I am already too old. He was already 75 at that point. And I am going to give up. If you want to go on with the grapes, up to you. And that's how, at that moment, we just take 2,000 kilos in 1999, and we make the very first vintage of our Doix wine, which has really become our flagship wine from the very beginning. 55 Carignana, 55 Grenache. Well, this is a very short story, just then to explain you a little bit about our place. Why our place is so special. What do we have? The first thing is that we do have the schist. We do plant here. It's about the rock. There is no soil, there is no dirt in our place. Then we plant here, and the roots have to grow through these fissures, just going down, looking for something to feed the grape. That's this is almost a 400 million year soil. This is a metamorphic soil, no organic material, no way to preserve water, very, very special soil. Minerality looks like, and we are going to talk about it.
This is the Licorel.
Sorry?
This is the Licorel soil.
This is a Licorella. This is a slate soil, absolutely. Okay? Then the grape, the roots have to grow through this, going down, and because of this soil, the roots have to have a lot of power just to go down looking something to feed the grape. Because when it rains in this soil, water just drains the soil. There is no way to keep the water. Then the root has to make the effort to go down looking for something, for the humidity that is at the very end of this. This breaks, as you see, and this is key. This breaks because on winter time, we don't have snow. You see? We don't have snow. Crazy. And then this means that the drops of water go down, it freezes, it breaks the rock, and the root has the capacity to go down. Without this, it would not be possible for the root to grow. Okay? Then, Licorella soil. One first characteristic. Rocky soil, no organic material, no way to retain water, and on the other hand, this retains the heat. On summertime, you came, it was not on summer when you came at all, I think
it was June.
Yeah. June. Mid-August, here we are at 38 degrees in the temperature, but the rock reached close to 70 degrees temperature because it retains the heat. It retains the heat. Another very important characteristics for our place. Okay, then, first, the soil. Second, the climate. This is a view of our place. We are close to the Mediterranean. This is Mediterranean days. This means 2,700 hours of sun. We do not have any problem of sun. We do not have any problem of ripeness. But at the end, you see the Monsan Mountains, and the Priorat is in a sort of a hole. What does this mean? Mediterranean days, but continental nights. We are not just close to the sea because we are surrounded by mountains. This means that the temperature during the night goes down a lot. To give you an example, here, this is one of our old vineyards. 3 o'clock day, 38 degrees. 3 o'clock night, 18 degrees. 20 degrees difference. This is key because this makes a very slow ripening process, sort of a stop and go, which is the key in our wines. Why? Because while we have high sugar, a lot of sun, we do keep high acidity because the low ripening makes that as far as the sugar goes up, the acidity preserves. This going down of the temperature preserves the acidity. And that's why we have sort of a powerful wines, 14, 14.5, even 15 degrees, but always refreshed by the acidity. This is key. Okay? Then temperature, Mediterranean days, continental nights. Globally speaking, because in Poboleda, we will see that we have some special things. And concerning the varieties in the Priorat, the varieties are mainly Garnacha and Carignana, Grenache and Carignan, two Mediterranean varieties, the same varieties that you can find in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, Carignan, Grenache, and Shiraz. We have also a little bit of Shiraz. These varieties have been here for the last, at least 400 years. And the point is that we just replanted with the American rootstock with our own wood. We just grafted our own wood in the American rootstock. Which are the characteristics of the Garnacha and the Carignana? Well, as you know, Garnacha, both are varieties very well adapted to very sunny places, very dry and sunny places. However, Garnacha takes a lot of sugar, which means high alcohol wines, and also very nice fruit aromas, is what really Garnacha provides. In our place, in whatever the place, because as you know, it's a variety planted in many places. But on the other hand, it has a medium acidity and medium tannin, and very oxidative, as you know. It's sort of a difficulties to be aged, because it lacks structure. Carignana, it's completely complementary, because Carignana, it has big tannin, high acidity, and medium sugar. And then it's the blend of these two varieties that it's giving us these long-lasting wines. Because we have alcohol, we have tannin, we have acidity, we have the fruit, for sure, and we have the color that is mainly coming from the Carignana. We have all the elements to make these long-lasting wines. Okay?
Well, amazing. Couldn't have explained it better. Well,
then
another question on Priorat. Everywhere we study, and even I visited, everyone does red wines, say the overview. And you have your own structure of being bold, powerful, age-worthy wines. Any other style of wines or any white varietals available in Priorat? Anyone does so?
Okay, then. First, in terms of style, traditionally Priorat, while it was not Priorat, let me put it this way, has a very long tradition of vineyards, 1,000 years, but a very, very short of fine wine making. It's impossible to find any bottle Priorat of the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 80s, because nobody was bottling. It was just bulk wine, okay? Then from this perspective, we are still young in terms of providing you the possibility to taste the Priorat of the 40s, of the 50s. My first vintage is 99 of the Doix, okay?
Right.
What I can tell you is that our 99 is still lively, fresh, nice backbone, acidity, really, really incredible wine. But the style we have done from the very beginning has been a little bit different of these traditional Priorats that were really bold, rustic, heavy. What I was just explaining as sort of a sitting down wine, that the first glass is okay, but the second glass you have to be seated, because the wine is overwhelming you. From the very beginning, we have been looking for freshness. Wines that I like to say are wake-up wines. You should go on. The best bottle is the empty bottle, a tool. Do you agree or not?
Absolutely.
And for that, you need people just enjoying what they drink. That's the point. And then it's about freshness, it's about elegance. And this is the point from the very first point. Then in Poboleda, in our town within Priorat, we are lucky because Poboleda is called the fresher, La Frescal, the fresher. Why? Because we are in the northeast part of the Priorat, just nested by the Montsant Mountain and on the Siurana River valley, which means that we do have 2 degrees average lower than the Priorat and 20-25 less of rain more than the rest of the Priorat. What does this mean? We do harvest 10 to 2 weeks later than in Gratallops, which is just 15 kilometers away going south. Just to give you the idea of how the different microclimates may affect the different places. It's because these very small mountains all around, well, the orientations makes a lot of very different wines. I like to say that you have many priorats within the priorat, because this is not a flat place. It's not Rioja, it's not Bordeaux. It's just thousands of small mountains where it depends on the height of on the slope. It depends on the orientation. Many things have to be going on here. Okay.
Yeah. Also,
then just
yeah.
No. Then
after you.
No. Traditionally, red wines have been always the most important. However, in the last 5-7 years, the white wines have always became important in Priorat. We have been planting also white garnachas because white grapes were planted among the red wines, and it was just grapes for the mouth. It was called grapes for your mouth, because when people was harvesting, if they wanted to eat something, they had to eat the white wines, not the red ones. You know, this is a nice story about the Priorat. The white grapes were planted among the red ones just to give something people to eat while they were working on the vineyard. But now we have been planting, and as a matter of fact, this you have not tasted at all, but we have just last year we have just presented our first white, the Murmuri, which is a 95% Garnacha wine, and very nice, elegant, very fresh wines too. Yes. Then white wines are becoming very important now. Okay. Then just to, how do we have 10 minutes or?
No, we have time. We have around 15-20 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Then in terms of how do we work the vineyard? Well, I like to say that we work beside the vineyards, not in front, not in back, but always just taking care of the vineyard. For us, our wines are it's about the place. And then it's all about taking the best grapes just to show the expression of all these very small places here. Then this means that we get, for instance, the organic certification already 5 years ago. We are working on organic. But in our place, everything is done just by hand. It's just manual work. There is no way to get any machine in any of these very small places or very sloped ones. No. Then, from this perspective, it's just to take care of it's what I like to say. It's all about the grapes. Nothing to be done in the field. Just to be on a daily basis here. To take care of the grapes, because once you get the grapes to the winery, over there the point is for sure harvest by hand, selection on the vineyard is just minimum intervention. In our case, we do we separate the grapes we de-stem 100% of the grapes. Okay, we de-stem 100% of the grapes. And then this goes directly either to inox or foudres for the fermentation. And normally, in all our wines, we do age the wine in oak from 6 to 16 months, depending on the wines and the type of wine we are thinking about. The case of the white is the only one. There is no wood. It's just fermented in inox and on its lees for 3 months and just bottled. But on the other, we are just working with a little bit of the wood. The thing that it helps the wine it's a tool to age with the wine. And then with this, we are giving more capacity of these wines to be treated. Then in terms of the wines, just to explain a little bit, what is nice is that all our wines are very much related with two concepts. On the one hand, the age of the vine, and the second, the percentage of Carignana and Garnacha, because this gives already very different wines. In terms of the age, look at this. Las Crestas, this is a 20 years old vines. Salanque, 60 to 80-year-old vines. 100-year-old vines and 110-year-old vines. Older the vine, longer the root, lower the yield, but higher the quality of the grape. In Las Crestas, the roots are 5 meters, 10 meters, 15 meters, and 20 meters at all.
Wow.
And the yield, here we get 1 kilo per vine. I need 1 vine for 1 bottle. Here I need 2 vines for 1 bottle, 3 vines for 1 bottle, and 4 and 5 vines for 1 bottle. Here we are talking about 200 grams of grapes per vine in this wine.
200 grams of grapes per glass or per bottle of wine.
Per vine, per plant. Is what I get per plant. Is the yield per plant.
Yield per plant.
Here I am getting about 1,300 kilos of grapes per hectare. Very, very low yield.
That's very low.
But the point is that lower the yield, higher the quality of the grape.
Absolutely.
More concentration, more content. Okay?
Yeah.
And on the other hand, the blend, for instance, of Las Crestas is 80% young Garnacha and 10% old Cariñena. What does this mean? Here you have a lot of fruit, which is mainly provided by the Garnacha, and small structure. But as far as we go to Salanques and Doix, to give you an example, here Cariñena goes up and the age of the vineyards goes up too. What does this mean? Lower the yield and more Cariñena gives the wines more volume, more length, more tannin. Okay, then we are going for a more fruity wine to a more structured volume wine, which makes sense, no? Because Cariñena is giving the length, is giving the volume, the acidity. It's more about structure, while Garnacha is more about fruit. And then, as far as we go this way, you go more and more to this. And at the end of this, a wine you know well, which is this 1902, which is a 100% Cariñena, a very, very straight, very rare wine, because Cariñena has never been considered a really an important variety. It has always been used to be blended with others. But here we have been able to show how very old Cariñenas in our place gives an incredible, elegant, fresh, length wine. I mean, you remember tasting this is one of the most ethereal wines you can ever taste, because the structure, instead of being heavy, is just on the contrary. It's being aerial wines.
No, I remember when I was there, 2016, Priorat was given Wine Region of the Year in Sweden, and you had a Swedish delegation visiting you. I was there at the same time. We all tasted 1902 together.
Yes.
Then I took a bottle back to my country. I opened the bottle with my Sommelier India panel.
Okay.
And I put that wine in a blind tasting with a full faith. I believed in that. It's one of my epiphanies related to this wine. And an anonymous rating, of course, the wine had to outperform. Everyone rated that wine on top, and I opened the bottle and showed that this is 1902 from Priorat, Spain. Well, that is a great story for me. Coming back to the picture you were showing of your vineyard,
yes.
There is one question I want you to elaborate
yes,
because
please.
a lot of viewers are waiting for it. A lot of people plant their vineyard in a very traditional way, as in you have 3.5 feet height, and then you train your vines on two arms, stretching it to the limits. You have your vineyard length. Your wines has these bush style.
Yes,
so they're like bunch planted and engraved on the soil.
Yeah.
So is it something like a practice which majority people follow in Spain? Is it specific to a grape?
No.
How do you do it?
In Priorat, we have always been planting in Coste. The point is that in Priorat, we have always been planting in Coste. I mean, we have always been planting in a slope. Okay. Traditionally, always planted in a slope, and in a slope, people was always planting bush vines. Okay. In our place, there is no water, there is no irrigation. Okay. then people was just putting both varieties together. I mean, in this picture here you see you have Cariñena and Garnacha mixed, because at that time people was planting both varieties together. It was thought that it was better for the pollination, and always bush vines, because on the one hand they knew that for the erosion it was much better to keep the coste as far as it was possible. Then in the year 90s, when Priorat became very, very well known, people came and they began to plant in a terrace system. They began to plant in terraces, okay? Also, just trellising the vines, trellising, to make it easier to work. But we have seen that it's much better for the quality of the grape and for the homogeneity of the good quality to be planted in coste. And as a matter of fact, we have been planting new vines for the last 3 years, and all the work we have done has to be planted on a plant by plant basis, and all of them with a tutor. When you plant in a bush basis, you will understand very clear. Look how close is the grape from the soil. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
These, in many places, they cannot do it because when they rain, water remains here and then it infects the grape. But in Priorat, when it rains, water just goes through the rock and there is no way to have water here. Okay?
Okay.
Then, we have seen that, on the other hand, in our place, we have very small vines, even very old, very small, and it's very hard for them to grow. When you plant in trellising, we were asking the plant to grow up, to go close to 1 meter, and to grow there, which was much easier for the people working, but the effort of the plant to give those grapes was much bigger. Okay? And then now in Priorat, everybody normally is coming back to this traditional way of planting, because on the other hand, here you remember I told you the soil on summertime it gets to 70 degrees. Okay? Then during the night, temperature goes down, but there is still some sort of a heat going from the soil to the grape. You understand? Okay. Which is not the case if you planted trellis, because the grape is it's further from the soil. Then, if you come back to Priorat now, you will see that the high quality plantations are all of them, once again, done in coste, not trellis and not in the flat places. This is for sure more expensive and more hard to rework, but it's really the best way to keep the quality. Yeah.
But I think one thing I got from this is, I think Priorat as a region, as an overview, is a very high quality producing region.
Yes. Yes.
You do not have any winemaker who's doing bulk production, because the region and the soil, the terroir don't allow you to do any bulk production or to match to the price point of what those cheaper wines are around the world, or those entry level wines are.
Yeah.
The basic balance price card is always $1 ahead of any other styles of wines which can suffice for that bulk quantity wine styles.
Yes. No. This is true at all. I mean, as a matter of fact, the highest average prices of any other wine region in Spain, the highest is the Priorat. Is where you have the average highest price. I mean, it's almost impossible to find in Spain a Priorat wine under 8-9 euros, even in the supermarket. I mean, as you know, to give you an idea, this which is our first wine, it's about 16 euros, 1.6, and then from this is going up. I mean, these are not cheap wines, clearly. I mean, these are not cheap wines, but
in India, the import prices are very high, and hence probably I see a reason maybe why we do not have Priorat wines being imported in India.
Yeah.
Could be a possible reason that maybe this price point sometimes becomes that difficult in negotiation between importer and wines from Priorat.
Yeah. No, for sure, because I mean, if you have very high tariffs, I mean, however, it is true that we are expensive in comparison with other Spanish wines, because quality. But if you take many other French wines, these are not that expensive. I mean, I would say that if you compare this with some Italian wines, I can suggest you to have a bottle of Crestas instead of some some Italian wines. I mean, the point is that people have the idea about Spain of very low quality, and they are not ready to pay for that. And we have to change that. And Priorat, we are one of those that have been trying to fight to get the right price, because as I explained, everything is manual in our place. It's about it's artisania, it's artisan wines.
Another question somebody is asking in the questions about the wine laws in Spain. Now, how Priorat is designated as is the highest quality wine region in Spain, along with Rioja.
In the pyramid of regions in Spain, there are just two at the very top, which is a quality denominación de origen, which are Priorat and Rioja. These are the only two. However, I mean, Rioja, as you know, it's something like 100 times the Priorat in extension, and we are a very, very small area. To give you an idea, we have just 2,000 hectares planted. 2,000 hectares. I mean, any medium big winery in Rioja has the same amount that the whole of our area. It's crazy. Yes.
Yeah, that's true. What is your total size of production?
At this point, we are close to 60,000 bottles.
60,000 bottles.
Yes, it's about 60,000 bottles.
How many of 1902 bottles are produced every year?
No, this is just 3 barrels. This is just 3 barrels. These are 900 number bottles. It's 3 barrels. This is a very special wine. It's 900 bottles here. To give you an idea, Crestes is 35,000. Salancas is 15,000. Doix is 6,000 and 900. I mean, the small quantities. Yes.
And you put a bottle number on your 1902.
Yes. This is bottle 482. Yes.
Bottle
all of them
482
are
out of the 900 that you make.
Sorry?
Well, 482 out of the 900 that you make.
Yes. Okay, more questions.
Okay, I will go to my question tab. Let's see what pops up. Irela, somebody did a spelling mistake, but then we spoke about this.
Licorella. Licorella is the Catalan name for the slate soil. Is how we call it. In Catalan, in Catalonia. Okay. Yes. Licorella is the slate. Also in English it's called schist. The schist. This schist soil, you find it in some Douro places in the north of Portugal, and also in some places in the Riesling area. There are just these three places in the world with this very special soil. Yeah.
See, Valenti, how do you see the competition to the soul of your wines with Carignan? Is there any other region around the world which is doing similar blends like Carignan and Grenache?
Yes, I mean you have
Châteauneuf we know.
No, Châteauneuf du Pape. Châteauneuf du Pape is the only one that is having more or less the same blend that we do have in our place in Priorat. Yes. However, Garnacha, as you know, is then mainly planted in all around Spain as well as in France, and Carignana too. But the blend of these two is just in these areas. When you go to Rioja, Mazuelo, which is the Spanish name also for Carignana, is blended with many other varieties too. It may be blended with Tempranillo, it may be blended with Tinta Fina. It's a variety that has traditionally been used to blend. And in our case, because of the soil of these very, very old vines, we have been the very first just to make really distinctive wines of this Carignana. Yeah.
Also, people are asking about how has this COVID thing affected the harvest for this year?
No. I mean, for the moment, no. I mean, now at this point, we are just looking out the sprout of the plants. I mean, the plants are just having the very first leaves. Harvest will be mid-September on, and the COVID has not affected. I mean, we are allowed to go to the vineyard. People, it is true that instead of working with teams, every person is going on his own, alone to a different place to work. But for the moment, it's not affecting. If this finishes in 1 month, there will nothing will happen. I mean, unless things get complicated. But in principle, I mean, social distancing in the Priorat is very easy, you know, because yes.
In near future, is it possible to import the wines in India or your wines in India?
Well, I mean, we are in touch. I mean, if any of your colleagues here may know an importer, we will be delighted to get in touch with them, because we think not for. I mean, it's not for some bottles. I think there is a market for sure, because it's really a very special wine. I mean, from this perspective, it's something special. As you know, we have been in some talks with some of your friends who is bringing some Gramona Cava and some Mauro wines, but well, we are just talking. I mean, it's we had to meet in Pro Wine, but Pro Wine was postponed. But I would love to be able even to come to, once it's possible, to meet you and to taste the wines with you. But I think it makes sense, as far as I have seen that in India. I mean, there is market for these distinctive wines, and in my opinion, Priorat will be there, or may have a small place in that panorama. That's right.
No, I definitely see, because as an overview, the palette of this niche society, the kind of wines they drink and like, this strength and masculine style and bold heavy wines, I think Priorat will work very well here.
Yes. Here, I mean, it's I mean, our wines, because of the freshness, they have a very, very crispy. And for instance, I mean, in two of the best Indian restaurants in London, I mean, our wines are on the wine list, because I've been tasting with them, and it's a wine that really matches. No? If we just talk a few words about gastronomy, I like to say that the best wine is just to be enjoyed with good food. I mean, it's the whole package. And this is a wine to be enjoyed for sure with very, very nice spicy foods. It's no problem at all. It's really I like to say that the wine enhances the food, and the food enhances the wine. No, then it's perfect.
Yeah, it has to go well together. I will take one last question. Somebody is asking me about the barrels. How do you decide on which barrels would you choose? Do you use American barrels or French barrels? And how do you decide on selecting your barrels?
We just work with French wood. We do not use any American wood. I mean, when you look at really high quality wines, we are looking for the French wood, because, as you know, the density of the wood is bigger, and the micro-oxygenation is much better, because and on the other hand, you don't get so many flavors through these French wood. When you talk about American wood, on the one hand, it grows quicker, the American wood, which means that the wood has not the same density, and on the other hand, it gives you more flavors. Then, from the very beginning, we have always been using these French oak barrels. What we have been using 225, but we are also using some 400 barrels for the Garnacha, which the treatment of the wood is different between the two varieties. And 2 years ago, we have already begun to use foudres even for the fermentation, because we were just using inox, but for the last 2 years we have been a big 5,000 kilo grape wood French foudre to begin also to ferment on wood. That's right.
Right. Well, thank you, Valenti, for all your time today, and for the all enlightenment session that you've taken. I think people now know what Priorat is, what have been maybe an alien wine region for them. It's great that you've kept the bottles and labels for us to see as well, and all those pictures really
Thank
helped
you.
in learning in a better way. I think the best use of quarantine that we can make. Uh, well, from me and from the country, we wish Spain all the best. I personally wish you and family all the best. May we all come out of this difficult time. And one day we must have Priorat. And when we have that Priorat, I wish it is Mas Doix to start with in our country.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Atul.
Thank you
Best
very much,
wingers
Valenti.
from the Priorat, Barcelona, and Spain.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I thank you again for what you've done for me in 2016.
Wow, that was
It's one of the stories of my life. I was trying 2 months to get my reservation in this restaurant tickets, which is like one of the best restaurants in top 25 in the world. I couldn't get reservation, and you fixed me within one day. And you said that you've never dined there then.
don't, don't, don't,
So
don't explain it here because people will ask me one again, and then I am not going to be able to be so successful. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for the experience then and now. Thank you from everyone. Thank you,
Okay,
Valenti.
thank you.
Have a great day ahead.
Ciao.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Ciao. Gracias.